One public hearing tonight is to solicit public input on the proposed Community Development Block Grant proposal to be submitted to the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development for the Emergency Small Business Grant Program. The grant is to support urgent needs related to prevention, preparation, and response to coronavirus, especially supporting small business recovery assistance. Expenses include but are not limited to PPE and sanitizing, upgrades to physical space to accommodate social distancing, rent or mortgage payments depending on need, and professional and technical services in the form of legal, accounting, educational, and financial planning. Declare this public hearing open, and John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll, as an advance, ask you to waive policy and take action on this item this evening. This is a grant program that has been made available through the CARES Act funding to community development block grant eligible communities. Alleghany County, partnership with City of Covington, Town of Clifton Forge, Town of Iron, and the Alleghany Highlands Chamber of Commerce and Tourism partnered on the grant application to serve the entire region. The county would act as fiscal agent, and you also have in your packet a memorandum of understanding with the Chamber of Commerce, and Ms. Hammond is here as well, representing her organization, where they would serve as the conduit in the actual grantor of funds to small businesses in the community that have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. The grant eligibility we discussed 2 meetings ago and had comments received at that point in time. Is available for a number of different businesses in the community, and I'll just very briefly go through those. They're locally or regionally owned. They have 20 or fewer employees, have been impacted by COVID-19, have not already received federal CARES Act assistance. That does not include the PPP program. We clarified that with the DHCD. And then also provides local or regional services. That can be tourism-related, accommodations, restaurants, cultural and education services, arts, recreation, retail, nonprofit, social services, health practitioners, or personal care. So we've in cooperation with those folks I mentioned earlier, put together a scope where we would provide funding up to $15,000 for up to 150 small businesses. That's the maximum award under the CDBG guideline for PPE and or sanitizing of businesses, upgrades to physical space to allow businesses to reopen safely and accommodate social distancing, rent or mortgage payments, and then the possibility for professional and or technical services that businesses may need in the form of legal, accounting, education, and or financial planning. We anticipate receipt of $1.6 million through this program. An official announcement should be forthcoming from the governor's office, but that was our request and what our anticipation is in receipt of funding. We'll have a 2-year window from DHCD to utilize the funding to assist small businesses. You'll note in your packet that the initial breakdown, and this is subject to change, and this is just the initial funding allocations. $500,000 would be available for businesses located specifically in Alleghany County, $500,000 for businesses located physically within the City of Covington, $400,000 to businesses in Clifton, and $100,000 to businesses in the Town of Iron. Those funds can be moved as needed, but that's the initial breakdown. The remaining balance for the grant would go towards the chamber being able to manage the funds and the administration of the funds for the project, and to hire a project manager to manage the program for them. Again, the dollars would come to us from DHCD, and then we would push the dollars to the chamber in accordance with the memorandum of understanding you have in your packet. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Again, you have get a copy of the DHCD contract negotiation information in your packet. Copy of the information that's required by DHCD, and we're working with Mr. Blevins, the program manager. And then a copy of a memorandum of understanding that was prepared by the county attorney's office to allow us to move the dollars through the Chamber of Commerce to the small businesses that have been affected.
Board members, any questions of John?
John, I do have a question. I may have misheard, but anyone who receives CARES funding is not eligible for this?
If they have received the federal CARES funding through a different source,
Okay.
they are not eligible for this particular program through CDBG, but that does not include the payroll protection program dollars that a number of businesses received early on. So that does not preclude people if they receive the PPP dollars.
So PPP does not stop, does not eliminate you from this system?
Correct.
This is not a given, this is a request, right?
Sir?
It's not automatic, this is just a request when we receive the funds.
From businesses?
What we're asking for.
We'll receive some dollar amount. We anticipate receiving 1.6
You don't know
million.
if it'd be the entire amount.
We don't have confirmation of that
Right.
yet. It'll be announced soon.
That's what
We made a request for 1.6. We think we'll probably receive 1.6, but it's not confirmed yet.
that's all.
If every county's doing this, I know you're gonna have to have some help to it. Where are you gonna find enough people with enough knowledge that quick to oversee these, if all 96 counties in the state of Virginia? Wow.
This is additional dollars that are not available to all 96 counties in Virginia, just those that are eligible under the Community Development Block Grant Program, which are for certain census tract communities and counties that have a certain level of low to moderate income households in the community. So it's not eligible, everybody's not eligible to apply for these funds.
I did not know that. I thought it was statewide. I was wrong on that.
So you may see, for instance, Roanoke County made a very similar announcement about a similar program, but that came out of the direct allocation of CARES dollars that they received from the state. So they took a portion of that money and put it towards a similar program. Roanoke County's only doing $1 million worth of business assistance. We decided to utilize that's later on the agenda for some approval of a contract for some of our CARES dollars for some engineering work. We decided to apply for this to be able to help small businesses utilize the $1.2 million we received to make some upgrades to our facilities and provide funding to nonprofits, CSBs, DSS, the towns, libraries, for them to be able to do the same. And those are two separate pots of money. But a lot of the communities are having to use that single source of money to be able to help small businesses. And Ms. Hammond has already identified somebody that has some experience in her office that would be part-time.
I asked, you're gonna have to have help to do this. I can see this is gonna be as complicated and as time consuming as.
And that's why there's also, you'll notice, we've asked for 1.6 million, but the entire amount's not going to the small business. A portion of that amount, a portion of the total grant will be utilized to pay the cost for managing the project at the chamber.
I know one small business that applied for the PPP, they finished it, they filled out the request for the forgiveness, and it took one person and 11 pages of paperwork to fill it out. It took them a day and a half. So it's not something very simple. It gets pretty complicated. All these programs do once you get down in the weeds of them.
There was I believe the total of $6.3 million was made available by the Department of Housing and Community Development to go towards the CDBG, Community Development Block Grant Program. There's a number of those programs available in the state. We're going to get almost $1.6 million, so just shy of 20% of the total amount of funding available to the entire state. And I think that the reason why is Matt Weaver, who is a director at DHCD, appreciated the approach that we utilized on a regional basis. So one grant application to serve all 4 communities in the Highlands instead of all 4 of us making separate applications. And I think that's why we'll probably receive the max amount.
And only one employee working through her to administer. That saves them a lot of money too.
Anyway, I would ask that you waive
Board, any
policy.
more questions of John? I'll open it up to the public. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak? That said, I'll declare the public hearing closed. John would like to have action on that tonight, but it's going to take a unanimous vote of the board to do it. I'll entertain a motion to waive policy. Made by Mr. Nicely, second by Mr. Griffin. Any discussion on just the waiver? Melissa?
Mrs. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Griffith?
Yes.
Mr. Nicely?
Yes.
Mr. Shull?
Yes.
Ms. Vanderstahl?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes. Now I entertain a motion to approve.
So approved.
Made by Mr. Griffith, seconded by Ms. Vanderstahl. Any discussion on that? Melissa?
Mrs. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Griffith?
Yes.
Mr. Nicely?
Yes.
Mr. Shull?
Yes.
Ms. Vanderstahl?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.